Warning, despite the subject matter at the focus of these videos, my reviews are not intended for viewers under the age of 13, so if you're not of age, turn off the video now. Are they gone? Great, let's get to the intro already. So, funny story. Over the last few weeks, I've been watching early seasons and episodes of Power Rangers. This rewatch included Dimensions in Danger from Super Ninja Steel that has this line.
Jumping between dimensions destabilizes a morphing grid.
This got me thinking about how it's possible for dimensional travel to be so easy in Beast Morphers, since the entire last season relied on the villains teleporting from the Cyberverse. By all accounts, this constant stream of teleportation should cause some issues with the Rangers' powers, but as we've seen, it doesn't. Part of that might be because the energy source for the whole show comes from the morphin grid itself, but it's interesting to think about considering we just found out last episode that Nate had to be hopping through dimensions just to pick up all the Ranger tech that's in his vaults. At any rate, I'm happy that the show is delving into world building once again, and hopefully it won't be too long before I can put my speculation hat back on. For now though, let's get back to reviewing this show as we look at Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode 33, Intruder Alert. The episode opens with Nate telling the other Rangers about how a message they received from deep space between episodes is finally decoded. He plays the message and it warns of an intergalactic criminal named Ryjack who is headed to Earth so he can steal the Ranger weapons from Nate's vault. Ben and Betty are tasked with guarding the vault, much to Commander Shaw's annoyance, before the Rangers are alerted about an unknown alien trying to steal Morph-X. The Rangers find this robot-looking dude, who they assume is Ryjack, charging up something with Morph-X, so they confront him with blasters drawn. The alien tries to communicate with the Rangers, but doesn't speak English, which earns him a blaster shot when he tries to reach for his device. The Rangers try to capture the alien, but he teleports away before they can, so they just grab the device the Chrome guy was charging and take it to the vault. At the fortress, Evox tells Scruzzle that he needs more Morph-X because being bonded to Mayor Daniels damaged him, but Scruzzle says they don't have any more Morph-X and can't even teleport to get more. Suddenly, a monster teleports into the fortress, introducing himself as Ryjack, and he just straight up sounds like Kano from Mortal Kombat. Ryjack reveals that he plans to steal weapons from Grid Battle Force and asks for Evox's help in locating Nate's vault. Evox says he'll help Ryjack if he destroys the Power Rangers and collects Morph-X for the villain, but should he fail, Evox says Ryjack will end up just like Vargoyle, tossing the monster Vargoyle's blaster for emphasis. Ryjack isn't worried about this task though, because he has a reanimizer, which he demonstrates can make a robot clone out of anyone if he zaps one of their belongings. Once Vargoyle is clonified, Ryjack points to his compliance collar, which puts the rogue bad guy under Ryjack's control. And suddenly, this whole thing is giving me an Unleashed vibe.
You're a dog. You're my dog. I fed you, I trained you, I own you!
After Ryjack leaves, Evox reveals he plans to double-cross the monster once his job is done, before we cut back to GB, where Ben and Betty are putting the finishing touches on their Home Alone-style alarm system. The duo then watch the vault, waiting for Ryjack to show up, but after a while, they decide to take a break for bathroom and snacks, only to predictably trigger the alarm system themselves. The three main Rangers come in to help the two and take them to sickbay, but as soon as they leave, the mysterious alien from earlier teleports into the lab. After Ben and Betty get checked out, Nate tells the others that the silent alarm went off in his vault, and the Rangers come into the lab just as the alien walks out of the vault with his gadget in hand. The team apprehend the alien and take his gadget from him before Shaw calls about another alien in the city, so the Rangers hand the Metal Man over to the Beast Bots to lock up while they go deal with the other threat. When they get on the field, the Rangers meet Vargoyle and Ryjack, which makes the team wonder about the alien they captured. Ryjack plans to finish the Rangers before collecting more Morph-X and has some interesting guests to bring to this party.
What are those? Whoa, they're new too.
Show him what you got!
Wow, this is This is really happening, isn't it? After a pretty good unmorphed fight that includes Devon knocking out a putty with a shovel, never thought I'd say that, the Rangers morph into action to fight these formidable former foes. During the fight, Ravi and Zoe use their beast powers to knock Ryjack down, but he just shrugs off their attack before unleashing one of his own that is so strong Blue and Yellow can't recover. With Blue and Yellow done for, Ryjack counts this as a win and leaves, so the Rangers take their fallen friends to GB for medical attention. Ravi and Zoe are soon incapacitated with an alien infection, and with their condition worsening, Devon suggests talking to the alien in the holding cell for answers. While Nate is skeptical, Shaw thinks it's worth a shot, so the Rangers go to check on Old Aluminum Head, who is now also very sick. The alien reaches for his device that Steele is holding, so Devon gives it to him despite Nate's protests. The doohickey the Rangers thought was a weapon ends up energizing the Tin Man, who then runs through his language databanks so he can speak English. The alien introduces himself as Captain Chaku of the G5 Galaxy Police Force, which is responsible for hunting down criminals all over the universe. In retrospect, it's kinda weird how we're only hearing about Galaxy Police now, given how many times the Rangers have been to space. Anyway, Chaku is pissed at the Rangers for the welcome he received, but after Nate apologizes, the captain goes on to say that he's been hunting down Ryjack across 7 galaxies, but lost sight of the monster when he ran low on power. Nate reveals that the message GB received about Ryjack is what caused them to shoot Chaku and ask questions later, with Steele adding that Ravi and Zoe are in bad shape after being struck by Ryjack's horn blast. This puts Chaku on alert since Ravi and Zoe are in mortal danger, so the good guys run to help, with Chaku scanning the resting Rangers and trying a treatment he isn't sure will work on Earthlings. While that's going on, Scruzzle uses the collected Morphex to bring back Blazebot and Roborox.
So then tell us, Scruzzle, what did we miss?
Let's see. An intergalactic alien criminal is working for us, and, Vargoyle is back. What?
Yeah, a lot happened, guys. Did you see the Putty Patrollers? Ryjack again asks for information on the Rangers' vault, but Evox still has a plan to execute, telling Vargoyle to take out the rest of the Rangers while ordering Scruzzle to send out a Gigadrone. Back at GB, Ravi and Zoe's condition is improving, though they're still unconscious, so when Commander Shaw is informed of Vargoyle and the Gigadrone attacking the city, Gold and Silver are sent out for the Megazord fight, while Devon and Captain Chaku team up to fight Vargoyle. During the action on the ground, Devon slices off Vargoyle's compliance collar, so the general just leaves so he can refuel on Morphex and teleport wherever the hell he wants. Once Chaku and Devon defeat the Tronics, they head to the nearest Morphex tower to finish Vargoyle. It's at this point I should point out that Captain Chaku is based on a Japanese metal hero from the 80s. When our heroes catch up to Vargoyle, we get a kick-ass fight that ends with the newly revived villain being turned into scrap metal. Back with Nate and Steele, the brothers form the Striker Megazord to eliminate the Gigadrone. Yay! After the fight, Ravi and Zoe finally awaken from their illness, and though they're still hostile towards Captain Chaku, the others explain the captain is who saved them. Blue and Yellow apologize for how they treated Chaku, but the captain says all is forgiven before the heroes decide to team up so they can take down Ryjack. Ben and Betty then reveal the latest addition to their thief trap, which includes a sensor that captures anyone without a new security tag, and the episode ends with everyone else in the room getting wrapped up because only Ben and Betty are wearing the tags. This episode is another solid outing, and this show seems to be on a bit of a run as of late. The world building streak also continues, but not in the way I expected. Like with Sheriff Skyfire and Super Ninja Steel, this episode adapts another Japanese metal hero for American audiences. I'm not sure why Power Rangers has decided to introduce these guys so late into the show's run. I mean, they are good as characters that help flesh out this universe, but it's just very strange for me to see as a longtime fan. Before this, Power Rangers only used one-off characters that were created for the Sentai that was being adapted. Ninjor, the Blue Centaurian, and the Magna Defender all had their roots in original Sentai. And back in the MMPR days, we introduced one-off characters for the purpose of creating new shows like The Masked Rider. Hell, I'm surprised the writers haven't returned to this franchise, given that Kamen Rider and Super Sentai cross over all the time, and Saban even adapted Kamen Rider for Dragon Knight over a decade ago. I get that Super Sentai, like the rest of the world, has been on a nostalgia kick lately, and for what it's worth, I appreciate this show and Super Ninja Steel to an extent for actually introducing these guys as real characters rather than just throwing in a lot of Sentai references haphazardly like Super Megaforce does. In fact, Beast Morphers one-up Super Steel in this regard because while Sheriff Skyfire was introduced for a basic filler episode, Captain Chaku gets his own storyline and his ties to Ryjack are relevant to this show's overall plot. I say that because it's clear to me that Ryjack and his Reanimizer is setting up the big crossover that takes place for Grid Connection. I mean, come on, the guy could have chosen any number of foot soldiers to fight the Rangers, but chose Vivix and Putty Patrollers, the latter of which aren't even from this dimension, unless Ryjack scanned Vivix from Sledge Prime, since we know he still could be flying around this universe somewhere. Speaking of the reveal of past Dino Ranger baddies, I'm surprised this current team doesn't recognize the foot soldiers when Ryjack brings them to life. I mean, I can understand the Vivix being bizarre because they aren't from this dimension, but Putty Patrollers should be easier to spot since they fought the first team. Furthermore, Sledge and Rita Repulsa were among the villains name-dropped by Mayor Daniels in the first episode of Beast Morphers, so at the very least, Devin should know what these guys look like. Even if you wanted to use the excuse that the mayor didn't tell his son about these aliens to protect him, I would believe that if Devin hadn't just spent an episode researching Ranger records. On the flip side, I just realized that this show has been going on for so long that I'm effectively yelling at these characters for not knowing how everything worked back in my day.
Putties and Vivix fought Rangers for years. You need a history lesson.
Vargoyle was also a pleasant surprise for a return, but I take issue with how he's used. I knew the compliance collar was coming off, which I was excited for because Vargoyle is a rogue robot who doesn't take orders from anyone unless he wants to. However, Beast Morphers does next to nothing with the guy once the collar comes off, and he's effectively just the monster of the week that the Rangers need to take down. I don't think I've seen a general that was talked about so much early on, only to be used sparingly and taken out quickly. It makes his final fights rather disappointing. Overall, though, this is a good episode. Despite how disappointing Vargoyle's end is, he was a cool character to demonstrate the powers of the Reanimizer, and Ryjack is as ruthless a villain as you can get for a mini-arc in the middle of the season. Captain Chaku is cool as a new character too. Sure, he doesn't get many opportunities to show off his personality, but he serves the purpose of teaching the Rangers not to jump to conclusions, and since he is a recurring character, I'm sure we'll learn more about him next time. I mean, the Rangers are going to need him since they had so much trouble with those Putties and Vivix. Seriously, how can you not love an episode like this when the Rangers are fighting old foot soldiers? I'm Nick, aka IronBat1993, and may the power protect you.